Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are just going to be reviewing our teams here from Game of Thrones. Um, Nothing has happened here in this league yet, so there's no trades to really talk about. When we get to gritty, there's only been like one, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But we're just going to review everyone's team here going into the new season, kind of what changes I would make to their teams. Obviously, it's not my team, so whatever they do is whatever they do. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of touch base on that. Um, I'm still trying to figure out a few ideas to do for after this, so bear with me as I'm going to be trying a lot of different stuff over the next few months. But expect like 2 or 3 videos a week moving forward. That's going to be the goal at least, and yeah, we'll dive right on into it here. But to start things on off, here's my team. Um, that'll be starting the season with most likely. Now, a few positions may change here or there, but to start things on off, I have Justin Herbert, James Cook, Chase Brown, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Hunter Henry. I will say my tight end spot is probably my weakest point within the team, but we look at our other two flex spots. I have Jameson Williams and Brian Thomas Jr. Um, I ended up getting Brian Thomas Jr. towards the end of the year from my dad. I traded away my 1-1 because technically it was my dad's pick before to get Brian Thomas. I don't mind the pick, but at the same rate, part of me kind of wishes I kept it because then I could have gotten Love in the draft and boosted my running back crew. But there still could be moves that I could potentially make to maybe get another running back, and maybe it benefits me. But aside from that, we got Jaden Daniels and Daniel Jones on my bench for quarterback, which is really nice to have. I have 3 different quarterbacks I can kind of rely on. On top of that, we have Trey Benson, Wright, Tyrone Tracy, Blue, Jordan James, and Devin Neal. I'm a little sad that the Saints went out and signed Travis Etienne because I was really hoping for a big year from Devin Neal. Um, Jordan James, I just don't know what to expect really. He's kind of on my chopping block right now, same as Blue, just because I don't know what they're going to do. Wright's kind of on the same line, but I feel like as soon as I drop Wright, he's either going to get traded or get more time. So like I'm like, kind of on the fence of a few of these guys being on my team, but I also don't mind them. I do have hopes that Devin Neal still will be a crucial part in the offense, if not this year, then next year when Kamara's no longer on the team, or maybe they get rid of Kamara this year and he ends up being kind of that change of pace back to Travis Etienne. I don't know. I kind of, like I said, hate the fact that they signed Etienne, but oh well. Tyrone Tracy, I have paired up with Cam Scadaboo. I got Cam Scadaboo at the 2-2 slot last year when I drafted, which is really nice to have. And then I did end up trading for Tyrone Tracy as well, I think prior to the draft, if I'm not mistaken. So it kind of worked out where I got both Tracy and Scadaboo, which was a lot of fun to have because I have a little flexibility there. If one gets hurt like Scadaboo did last year, I had Tyrone Tracy, who for a few weeks was pretty good. Then a few other weeks was kind of mediocre. But Cam Scat being back is always going to be a nice dub. I had a pretty solid running back crew in my opinion. I got Chase Brown through a trade last year as well. Um, I just don't know what to fully expect from my other running backs. And if someone gets hurt from Chase Brown to James Cook, I don't know who I'm going to go with. I think Scat will be that answer, but if they split reps between Scat and Tracy, like I've heard they are going to be doing, I don't know. Benson has Tyler Algier and James Conner to compete with, so it's a little annoying there because Cardinals went out and got Tyler Algier, so either that makes me believe Benson's not going to be ready for the start of the year, or James Conner isn't, or maybe they're trying to do something with Conner where they get rid of him. I don't know. I think they restructured his contract though, so I don't think that's the case. Next up, we have Trey Harris here from the Chargers. I am hoping to hold on to him for now because I think he'll be a really good part to this offense. I knew last year that he wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot with them going back and getting Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's no longer going to be in this offense, so it's just kind of a matter of if he can beat out Quinston Johnston, maybe even Lad McConkey, because McConkey took a step back last year, which kind of sucked to see. But at the same rate, I think Harris could be a really good part in this offense, and he's still relatively young. I think he's 24. Yep, and that will be the case there. So he's someone I can still rely on long term. More of in the short term, I do have Cortland Sutton and DK Metcalf still. Obviously, these guys aren't going to be around forever, just due to the nature of things. They are getting a little bit older, so we'll see how it goes. I've been trying to shop Sutton around. No one's really wanted to buy there. They just traded for Jalen Waddle too, so that kind of brings his value down just a little bit. But if I have to ride Sutton out until he retires, I'm not mad at that. He did pretty well for me most of the year when I had him in. There's a few games where it was a little hit or miss, but that happens with fantasy football. So DK Metcalf and Josh Downs. I tried getting Alec Pierce. I'm not going to have any luck with that. I actually have both Downs and Pierce in our other Dynasty League, which I'm really hoping one or both pans out, because my receiving core in that one's a whole different level. But um, to focus just here on this league, I think Josh Downs could have a potential of being that top receiver in the offense, um, especially when Daniel Jones does come back. I just have this feeling that Alec Pierce is still going to really be that deep ball threat, and I don't know if Pierce is going to step up into that Pittman role of getting that short yardage catch or medium range catch. It's always been kind of a long range connection with Alec Pierce to any quarterback he's really had. So for me, I just think Josh Downs could have a really good year, because I think there will be a good 6 to 8 targets going his way per game, and I still think that'll be the same for Alec Pierce. I think their volume is just a matter of who gets the ball and what range. Alec Pierce, I think, will be more prone to those big um, plays within the game, and then Josh Downs might have to pick up that dirty work through the middle, across the field, just short to medium range, which in PPR is perfectly fine. If you're getting receptions, 5 receptions, 50 yards, there's 10 points. I mean, ideally, I would like my guys to be around 15 to 16 per week, but I don't think that's out of range here with Josh Downs. 6 catches for 80 yards, 14 points. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of opportunities there for Josh Downs this year, and I think he'll actually be really good this year. Not that he was bad last year. He had his moments last year. It was just a matter of Pittman, Pierce. He was kind of that third, fourth option sometimes, because you still have Warren in that offense. So between Warren and Downs, we're going to kind of see who comes out on top and does more in their offense this year. Aside from that, I have Jatavian Sanders. I still like Sanders. I just don't see Bryce Young using his tight ends as much, and I really wish he would use them more. That's all I can really say there. And then Chig, I think, had an upgrade this year. He's moving over to the Washington Commanders, who like to use their tight ends. Jaden Daniels does like to throw it to his tight ends. He's shown that with Ertz. I think Chig will have a much better year this year. He didn't have a bad one last year. It was just you're playing with a rookie quarterback, and then the coaching staff was not great for you last year, especially the OC. They really didn't set up any plays for their tight ends. So I say my tight end spot's a little bit weaker, but I do think there's a lot of opportunities within my tight end core. Like if Sanders can get some sort of connection going with Young, there's always that. I'm still hopeful there. I like having Sanders. I know in my other league I dropped him, but there's a whole other reason for that, because I have a lot of those potential players in that league. This league, I'm pretty set wide receiver wise, and even running back wise for the most part. So it was just kind of one of those things where I'm gonna let him ride. He's kind of really one of 2 or 3 players that I'm just kind of like, oh, are they gonna shape out? Other than that, I have AJ Barner, who I thought had a great year last year, and I think he's only going to get better. He had a decent connection with Darnold, and I think it came more fluent towards the end of the year. I know towards the early start of the year it wasn't like unbelievable, but towards the end of the year they were really starting to get that connection, and I'm hoping that can continue into next season. I was completely wrong about Darnold. He played out of his mind last year, won the Super Bowl, and he used his tight end a decent amount. JSN, obviously that big part in the offense, but I think going into this next year with them losing Kenneth Walker, I think a lot more of the receiving is going to have to come from Barner, because you had Sharp and Walker both in the receiving game. They would receive a decent amount, and then you have JSN. Someone needs to step up though. Like you still have Rashid Shaheed in that offense. I just don't think he's going to be like the top tier guy. I still think he's the big playmaker, kind of like Alec Pierce down the field, catching the ball, getting those long range plays or touchdowns. I think Barner's actually going to find himself used a lot more in the passing game this year, and I could actually see the Seahawks running more 2 tight end sets where they have Arroyo in there as well. So I think they might end up keeping Arroyo in as a pass protector in some of those plays, and then Barner run some routes, or they might even just have Arroyo just play a normal tight end spot and maybe push Barner out into that slot type role, something where he can still go out and run routes. I could see them doing a little bit more of that just because they don't have as many weapons as before. I do have hopes for Horton though still in that offense. Like he could be that solid third receiver as long as he's healthy. So who really knows there? Other than that, I don't have anyone on my IR right now because I took him off. I ended up dropping Esteem as soon as ETN was signed, and then the third string running back, or technically second string in Davis on the Cowboys. I ended up getting rid of him. I just have some hope that Jaden Blue will produce a little bit more this year, so we'll see how that goes. Other than that, on my taxi spot, I have Besh and Ferguson, and I actually think I can keep them on throughout the remainder of this year if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. I think I saw it last year. So if I don't end up with a ton of picks this year, because maybe I trade stuff away or certain things like that, then maybe I just keep them both on here. I like both these guys. I think Besh could have pretty solid outing this year, and Ferguson I think will be a project. I think he's going to be like 2 or 3 years down the road just because of the tight end competition they have there. I really like Ferguson. He had some flashes last year. It was just the fact that he's not on the field as much. So for that reason, I kind of say if I can keep him on my taxi, I'm going to keep him on my taxi. Other than that, I actually have a decent amount of picks here, just not going into this year. I only have the 2-7 here. I got it from Ethan via trade prior to the season last year. I think that was involved in the Tracy trade because I got rid of Devontae Smith. Other than that, my 2017 looks good. I have 3 picks. They're not all mine. One plus I will say is the 27 third, I guess, that I have should be an early third if Connor's team doesn't perform. He's got the second and third pick going into the year, so we'll see how that goes. But the second pick is kind of just the same pick I would have had. It's going to be a battle with our show and a bunch of other teams. There's like probably a good 7 or 8 teams where I could really see us being anywhere. I do have really high hopes for my team. I ended up winning the league this year, which is awesome. I haven't won a money league yet, so it was nice having that. My other one I ended up placing second, which sucked because it was against my dad, and I had a really good week prior. I put up over 200 points in both leagues, so it was kind of insane. But going into 2028, I have all my picks, and then I added another third-round pick. The third-round pick I got in a trade where I ended up getting a third in Olave, and I traded away Pacheco and Jerry Jeudy, which was crazy. I was not expecting that to happen. I'm really glad I ended up making that trade. I found out my dad was also trying to get Olave there, and I kind of sniped it. But to move on to other teams here, we're just going to talk about like what I would like to see these guys do. Maybe boost their team up a little bit. And things along those lines. Did he grow a mustache? Okay. It just looks really blocked up right there. But my dad's team here, he's got Kyler Murray, who just signed with the Vikings, which is awesome. I think he's going to end up obviously starting. I really hope the Vikings just trade McCarthy. I'm sick of having him on the team already. I think he's a bust. There's no reason to have him. Other than that, he's got Bijan, and then he's got Jordan Mason. I'll talk about running back spot here in a little bit because I already kind of have an idea of what I think my dad's going to end up doing, but I haven't done too much research on these rookies in this next class. I like to kind of wait till post draft before I kind of do all that just to see how they will kind of fit in with their team. Prior to the draft, I'll do my research. I'll be like, oh, I think these teams should do this and this and this, and I'm going to do a whole breakdown of who I think each team should pick on what spot. But Jordan Mason, Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore, who just got traded to Buffalo. I think this is a major dub for my dad because Moore was in that Chicago offense where it was getting kind of crowded with Burden and Dunzy, and then you bring in Loveland. So I think DJ Morgan and traded to Buffalo is great because we've all seen what Josh Allen can do with the #1 receiver. He added in Diggs there. So I'm really hoping we kind of get that connection there between DJ Moore and Josh Allen, and I think my dad can really benefit from that. I think this actually boosted his team up a little bit. Last year he had kind of a struggle where his players were getting hurt, and then he was getting impatient with a few guys. I actually snaked a few players off of him that he got a little impatient on, and one of them in Chase Brown really started popping off for me. So I'm really hoping this pans out for him. I think DJ Moore is a great add. I think he'll probably be a top 12, if not top 10, even top 8 wide receiver this year because Josh Allen has not had that threat in a few years, and now that they have DJ Moore, I think that's just a major upgrade. And you have Khalil Shakir, who I think will just kind of be playing that role that he did when Stephon Diggs was in that offense, kind of being that second string guy, or kind of stepping into that Gabe Davis type role when they had Gabe Davis and Diggs. So I think that'll benefit him quite a bit. And he's got Jacoby Myers, who actually showed a decent connection there with Trevor Lawrence, which kind of made me a little upset with Brian Thomas Jr. I do like the fact that the Jaguars went out and got Jacoby Myers and got him out of that Raiders offense. And I think he'll have a pretty solid year there as well. And then Loveland, obviously, I think is going to be really good. I don't think this will be his starter here when the season starts, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But he's got Jaden Higgins here. Well, I wanted to draft last year if I had a first-round pick. I just didn't, unfortunately. So for me, this is a pretty solid pick. Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't know how to really feel about, if I'm being honest. I really liked him in that Giants offense last year, and I actually kind of hate the fact that he got moved to the Titans. The reason I say that, and this might be a hot take for some people, is I think the wide receiving core in Tennessee is a little underrated. I just think the offensive coordinator last year was really bad. You got Shamir Dyke in that offense. You got Alec Eomanur in that offense, and then you got a few other, smaller guys. I know they ended up getting rid of a few guys, but I don't know how this offense is going to run. You got Helm at the tight end. I don't know if that's going to free up any space. I don't know who's going to be what. I don't know how Cam Ward's going to play. There's a lot of question marks there that I just don't know, so we'll see how that kind of works out. Other than that, my dad's got Cam Ward and Bryce Young, like both those quarterbacks. He's got Vital, who I think is a pretty solid running back. I think they signed another running back as well. Keaton Mitchell. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with Vital here in the season. He's got Dylan Sampson, who, with them getting rid of Ford, should step into more of a pass catching role. I still think we'll probably end up seeing. Why can I not think of the running back's name? Judkins. There we go. Probably handle at least 70% of the carries per game. That is one thing I will say I kind of screwed up on last year. I actually ended up drafting him, and then I traded him away because I didn't think he was actually going to play much at all last year. And I thought it was going to be the Sampson show, and I ended up trading away Judkins. I ended up getting Besh, and I don't remember who else I got in that trade, but it just did not work in my favor, unfortunately. Other than that, he's got Dobbins, who I think will do what he did last year. As long as he doesn't get hurt, that's always his issue. He's always hurt. Rashad White, I think, moves into a better spot of being in that Washington offense. He was kind of handcuffed there in Tampa the last 2 years, so I think him moving to the Washington offense is going to really just benefit him. I don't know what Bill is going to do throughout the year. I don't know how this offense is going to run. They also have Jerome Ford in this offense, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how that's going to play out. Bigsby, I just think, is handcuffed by Saquon. I don't think there's much else to say there. Trey Tucker, I ended up trading to my dad last year as well in the Chase Brown trade. So I like Tucker. I just don't know what this receiving core is going to do. I don't think they've bolstered it at all currently outside of getting Jalen Naylor, but I don't even think that's really going to make that big of an impact. I think him moving over to the Raiders is giving me that KJ Osborne type effect where I don't think he's going to be as effective as he was in the Vikings offense. So I don't know who's going to come out on top in this Raiders offense at all, so we'll see how it kind of plays out. Dad's got Franklin, who he's not sure what to do with right now because of Waddle. You got Horton, and you got Thornton, KLS, and he's just got a few other pretty solid guys on here. From Juan Jennings, who we don't know what's going to happen there yet. He hasn't signed anywhere. To Marvin Mims, who I think he's going to try to get rid of because now that they signed Waddle, it's just kind of useless to have him. And then Ingram and Strange. So we'll kind of see how those play on out. On his taxi, he's got Giddens, Howard, and Arroyo. I don't mind them. I just don't know what any of them are going to do. I think Arroyo is probably going to be the most successful. Howard, maybe, depending on what Rodgers does. But Giddens, I don't know what he's going to do. And then this year, my dad has the 1-1. I think he's going to end up drafting Love there, and I think that's going to end up being one of his flex players. Or maybe that'll just be a starting running back, and he might just bench Mason. The Vikings did re-sign Jones. I don't know how that's going to go, but he's also got the 3-1 and then one pick next year, and then there's picks in 28. So not too bad there for him. Got some work to do, but I think him landing with the 1-1 after trading with me kind of benefits him a lot. I probably could have held on to that and gotten a lot more value probably. In the fact of I probably could have gotten like someone like Justin Jefferson off of Crawford here in this league because he likes to trade his big stars, but is what it is. We'll kind of just see what ends up happening throughout the year. Moving forward, Crawford got a pretty solid starting lineup. I mean, Jefferson, Lamb. I do like Kyren. Drake May, I'm on the fence about. Tyler Warren, I think, is going to be a stud. Michael Wilson, we'll see if the success repeats. I'm pretty sure Brissett's going to start again. We'll see what they end up doing with him. And then other than that, we have Shaheed in the starting lineup. I think that will actually be a starting lineup because his bench is, in my opinion, a little bit weaker. I know some people don't like to focus on their bench as much. I'm always a all-around type of guy. I like to focus on both my starting lineup and my bench players. As you can tell, I've loaded up my bench, I think, at least in this league. So we'll kind of see how things play on out. He's got Ray Davis. Allen, this running back crew in Jacksonville, I don't know what's going to come out of it. I ended up dropping Allen at one point last year, which makes it really sad that they got rid of ETN because I thought they were going to extend him. And it's going to kind of probably bite me in the butt. He's got Kenneth Gainwell, who I think could be a solid change of pace there for Bucky, and I could maybe even see a split between them, maybe. That might be a take, but I could see that. Jerome Ford, no expectations for. Brian Robinson, I don't know what to expect there either. They traded him to the 49ers, and then he's just kind of a ghost. That's one of those talents where I'm like, him and Dameon Pierce are like two guys I was really high on when they got into the NFL, and they really just haven't done a crazy amount. I know Robinson's had a good year or two, but it just hasn't been enough. Tillman, Florney, Diggs, who I think will end up going to Miami probably. Kirk, I think, just kind of over him. I don't know. I don't think there's really much he's got going for him there on this bench. Other than that, he's only got one pick this year, the 310, so we'll see what he does with that. I know he likes to do trades, so maybe he'll get a few more third rounds. I still think he can get some value off of some of his guys if he wants to go and get picks, but we'll see how it goes. Travion Henderson in that starting lineup, I think it's great for him as well. But moving on, we got my brother Ryan here. His team is one that I'm kind of interested to see how it pans out over the next few years. He's got a bunch of old guys on his team here, but we'll talk about that as we go. Lamar Jackson, I think it'll be a great quarterback for years for him. I still think he's got probably another good 8 years in him at least, if not more, of producing at a high level. Kamara, I don't know what's going to happen there, so I don't know if my brother's going to have to make some sort of move or what, but Kamara is one of those guys that, for him at least, I'd be looking at possibly getting a replacement. I don't know what's going to go on there, but Josh Jacobs, I think, will be good for another at least 2 years. I don't know if it'll go past that because he is pushing 30. I think my brother's got a lot of work to do here when it comes to youth on this team, but aside from that, Jamar Chase, Ted McMillan, who I would really love to have. I really like him as a receiver, rookie of the year there on offense. So great stuff there. AJ Brown there as a third receiver. I hit or miss relationship with AJ Brown. I think he's good, but then he just has his moments where he's, I don't know. I just don't think it's the right offense for him. Other than that, he's got Devontae Adams and Jalen Waddle. Now, Waddle, I don't know what to expect this year. Bo Nix is super hit or miss, and now you get a lot of different weapons in that offense. I don't know what to expect out of him. I really wanted him last draft, my brother. I ended up just getting Josh Downs off of him, but um, not much more to be said there. On his bench, he's got Michael Penix, who hopefully will beat out Tua. He'll probably won't be starting at the start of the year, but I would like to see him as the starter, not Tua. I don't know if it's a vendetta against Tua or what. I just don't think Tua's that good. You have Woody Marks, Devin Singletary there on the bench. Gibson, I don't know what to expect from. Malik Washington might be a major upgrade in that offense. Now that he doesn't really have as much competition, because right now I don't think there's a whole lot of receivers on their team. You guys won't be able to see it here, but I'm going to check real quick. I mean, you got Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, not a whole lot. So he could do good, he could not. I don't know. Keenan Allen, at the end of his career, I don't know if he's really going to be on another team, or even if he is, if he'll be any sort of weapon whatsoever. But other than that, we scroll down, and it's just a lot of older guys. I think Likely could be a nice little flex for him if he needs to fill him in. I think Likely's going to have a really good year, so hopefully he gets the ball, because I think my brother will need that help just due to him not having as much youth. I do like the fact that he has Pat Bryant on his taxi squad. I think Bryant could be a really solid piece, again, with the Waddle addition. I just don't know what to expect out of these receivers, so it's just going to be a little time will tell at that moment. Other than that, Tyler Shuck, and then Tez Johnson there on the taxi squad. So kind of see what happens there. The one plus I will give him is he does have quite a few picks here. He's got the 1.5 going into the year, which, again, I have to do my research on the rookies. Maybe he fills a spot there where he gets a younger receiver or running back. He's got the 2.10 and the 2.5. I don't know why these are flipped around, but he's got his 2.5 and 3.5 and then the 2.10. So he's got a few picks to work with here. If he can get maybe a few more picks, or even just get a good trade going in his favor, he's going to have to be one of those guys where right now you're just going to have to kind of buy into getting a few starters on your team and then hopefully grow on your bench in the future. But then he's got 2 picks in 27, and then the 28, he's got all 3 of his picks. So he's got a lot of picks to work with. He just needs to be able to draft good. Like, really, that's all that can be said there. Moving on here, because I'm not trying to make this like an hour long. I want this to be about 40 minutes here. So Jenish here, he's got Caleb Williams on his team. I like that. JT, Saquon, really good 1-2 punch there at running back. From there, we have a few meh moments in my opinion, but Mechie, I don't know what to expect out of him. I don't think that'll be a starter at all. But he's got Len McConkey and Xavier Worthy. Hit or miss on both those guys. Couldn't really tell you how that's going to perform. Hawkinson, I don't know how this is going to go with Murray, because he hasn't like fully been able to give tight ends that value in fantasy. Outside of like 1 year with McBride, but that was a very reception heavy season for McBride. It wasn't really a touchdown dependent one, so I don't know how Hawkinson's going to do, but he does like to throw the ball to his tight ends. It's just not a fantasy value in my opinion without the touchdowns. He's got Swift and Monungai. I actually really like both these running backs. I hope Monungai takes over at some point, so maybe this flex isn't bad if they have the 50-50 split. There's a few weeks where they both put up like 18 points each. I think it was like 3 weeks in a row they did that, and it was kind of nice because for me in my other league, like I had Monungai and it just fit really well. Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, pretty solid backup quarterbacks there. Miles Sanders, I think, is at the end of his career. Stevenson, I don't know what to expect. Dunzi, I think will end up being another one of his starters. I think he's gonna have 3 Bears in that starting lineup. Brandon Cooks washed, Godwin washed, Smith-Schuster washed. Rest of the team I really don't care about. Sanat might have an impact, but I don't know. Chig could be just that guy in that offense. Yeah, nothing really else screams anything crazy to me here on his team. Ty Felton there on his tax team. Maybe that could be the solid third plug for the Vikings. I don't know. Other than that, 3 picks this year. He didn't have any last year because he traded them all away to get a Dunzy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then 27, he's got 3 picks, and then 28, 3 picks. So we'll see what he does. If he can maybe hit on just a guy this year in the draft, that'd kind of benefit his team because running back wise, he's looking good. Needs maybe a receiver and a flex is what I'd go with, or maybe just a flex. But not bad overall. Bound to have a better year than he did last year. So we'll move on to Kobe Red here, and this is one of the guys that I don't know how to predict in the league whatsoever because he likes to do a lot of trades, and sometimes I don't understand certain players that he is trading. But Jackson Dart, I love that. Genty, I really like as well. And then Javonte Williams, I like, but for some reason he is just like dead set on trading him. So that's a guy I'm looking at trying to get. Possibly, we'll see. I don't know. Romeo Dobbs, I like the fact that he's in a different offense, but it's one of those things where how is Drake May going to perform? Because I think Dobbs was just in a crowded receiving core there in Green Bay. We'll see what it does in New England. He's got a wide receiver spot open, so obviously he hasn't updated his roster yet. But Ellick is one of the guys where I think could have a really good year. I'm really excited to see what he does. Kate Otten, I really like a tight end too. It's just a slower year, unfortunately. But RJ Harvey and Blake Corum in the flex spots, which I actually don't mind because I don't know. I just get this weird vibe about Kyron Williams this year, and we saw part of it last year where he's just starting to lose touches. So I don't know how productive he'll be moving forward, but we'll kind of see how things pan out there. Aside from that, we have Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, CJ Stroud on the bench. Stroud obviously being the strong suit there. Caleb Johnson, Bill Eckler, Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears, I think, is the guy that I'd be looking at in the sense of I think he could be that guy in the offense possibly this year. We'll see if things change from last year. If not, then I don't know what to really say. He was 45 on 50 targets for 260 last year. I don't know. Titans do have the OC from the Giants last year, and they like to use their running backs, so it could be a nice little buff here to have Tajay Spears. But again, I just don't know how to judge that offense. Xavier Hutchinson there. Is this Kez? No, Cameron. And then Ridley, Ayuk, Diami. So, I mean, depending on where Ayuk ends up, and if Ridley even has a year or Tolbert's, he might be fine. I think Mason Taylor might be a nice little plug here as well because he does have Geno Smith. So, that one I can see being pretty solid, but I don't know. Again, he's got the 110 this year, the 2-3. He had a ton of picks last year. It's just a few of them didn't hit. So, hopefully his team can find a few more hitters this year. Realistically, he just needs a receiver and maybe a flex, or maybe 2 receivers and a flex. He's not far off from being like super competitive this year. So, Luke, this is a team where I don't know what to fully expect. I think there's potential for a great year, but Josh Allen at quarterback, running back, I think is a little weak here. Both these guys, I mean, you're going to be playing second fiddle to Gibbs here with Pacheco, and then Aaron Jones. I don't know what to expect from this year. I really don't, and I'm hoping it's not a lot, but I couldn't really tell you. Michael Pittman moving to Pittsburgh might be a good move. Him and Metcalf, I think, could be a really good wide receiver duo if they get Aaron Rodgers back. Quinston Johnson, I like. Jalen Coker, I also really like. And then Mark Andrews, obviously, is Mark Andrews. I don't think he's got any competition this year now, so he should be perfectly fine. Now, Jerry Jeudy in the flex, this is someone, obviously, he's going to be moving to the bench here because he does have Bird in there on his bench. I think he'll end up starting Bird in. And then I think he's going to end up starting probably Laporta. So, I mean, he's got a few options here, and I think he could be competitive. It's just a matter of what he does. Travis Hunter, I told everyone last year, it's not going to work out, and I think we're seeing that. And then he's got James Conner. So, depending on what James Conner ends up doing, we might see maybe a little bit more of him throughout the year, but he's towards the end of his career, to be honest. So, Other than that, we'll hop over to E-Raid here. This is a team that I actually really do like quite a bit here. Jordan Love as a starting quarterback, pretty solid. Judkins, I'm up in the air about, but probably some of that's probably just because I traded him away. I'm a little salty about that, but oh well. Hampton, really like Hampton. Nico Collins. But yeah, Nico Collins is pretty solid, and then you have Ibuka and Marv there in the mix as well. Forgot to turn my fan off, so I do apologize if we hear quite a bit of that. But Harold Fanning, I really like there. He showed some nice connection there with Sanders, but who knows? That could change if they start with Watson this year. I couldn't really tell you. Zay Flowers, I'm not as high on Zay Flowers as a lot of people are. I just don't really care for him as much, I guess, to have on the team. Same with Devontae Smith. Those are two guys where I'm like, okay, but I see them putting up points. He's got Shadur there on his bench with Mariota and Prescott. Brooks, who I don't know what to expect from. I don't know what's going to happen there in that running back crew. He's got Trevor Etienne, Taj Brooks as well, Jalen Warren, who I think Warren will have a pretty solid year. He's got to compete with Dowdle, though, so we'll see how that plays out. Dantanian Wicks, and then Dalton Kincaid there on the bench. Gadsden pretty solid. I mean, tight end wise, there's a lot of solid tight ends here. I could see really any one of these guys playing well. Outside of Theo Johnson, I think they actually ended up signing. Yes, they signed it likely. So I don't know if Theo Johnson's going to do anything. That's a guy I traded away, so probably benefited me. Taxi, don't expect much from these guys, so I'm not even going to talk about them. Now here's the one thing I really want to talk about here: the picks. This year he's got two picks to 1-7, 3-7. Obviously the 1-7 is going to be crucial for him. See if we can hit on that 1-7. 2027, two first round picks, two three second round picks, and then two third round picks. So 2027 is going to be a year for him to really hit on quite a few things. I know Ethan's been hitting me up trying to get my 27 first, so I think he's really banking on getting picks in 2027. I mean, he's already got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If he ends up getting like five more, he's got like a third of the draft right there. So he's really got his picking of who he wants. Other than that, first, second, third, and 28. So I know he's been trying to really get that first off of me in this league, so we'll see if he can do that. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there is unless someone like Nico Collins was in the mix. To be completely honest, um, I really do like Gadsden. I'm just not gonna give up a first for him because I just don't know how to predict that Chargers offense. He had literally three, I think, good games last year, and that was it. So like, I don't have that sort of value on him. I don't think he's a first round potential right now because it wasn't consistent, and it literally came in weeks. I mean, the two standout games were in 7-8, but he had like 4 weeks in a row where he had 10 points. And another after that, he put up 10 points twice. It wasn't consistent. His targets went down and everything. All of that came from injury, so he's not a first round value to me. If he came at me about a 27 first for Harold Fanning, that'd be different. I would consider that. Harold Fanning really came around last year, had a bunch of targets towards the end of the year. Um, to me, he's the more valuable tight end. And you look at it, he had 4 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks that he played. He didn't play in week 18 because they were out of playoff contention. And he had like several games over 10 points. If he came at me about a 2027 first for Hilt Fanning, that'd be different. I consider that, and I'd probably end up doing it. So um, there's always that in the mix as well. Biff Ballers, this is a team I really don't, don't I don't see much coming from, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, we got Geno Smith. Sorry, my dad just put a message in here, so I was kind of looking at it. I don't know what to expect there. He could have a solid year. Derrick Henry's getting up there in age. Same with McCaffrey. They're both getting old. McCaffrey's always had some sort of injury issue too. Tutu Atwell, Debo Samuel, Cooper Cup. I don't know if those are starters or not. I haven't looked at his bench in a minute, but I'm not expecting much there. I like these two guys at tight end. I'll give them that. I think that flex, having a tight end there is perfectly fine. Tony Pollard might be nice. I don't know. You look at Kirk Cousins and Gabriel, and then Mahomes on that bench. I don't hate that. It's not terrible, but you can only use one quarterback, so like I don't know what to tell you. And Fields there as well. So he's got both KC quarterbacks. Fields should end up starting the year for KC with Mahomes later on taking that back. Michael Carter, Keon Coleman. I like Keon Coleman. I just don't know how he's going to fit with DJ Moore being in that offense now. So it might be another year of waiting before we see what Coleman can do. He could give us the whole Nico Collins effect of it took him like till year 3 or 4 before he finally hit stride, because that's what happened with Nico. He didn't start hitting stride until his third year. So we could end up waiting and seeing there. Other than that, D Hop on the bench wasn't signed with anyone. You got Renfro, Elijah Moore. Like, there's not a whole lot on the bench to be happy about. I think Joe Mixon's gonna end up retiring. Tucker Kraft at least gives him another flex spot. He's got 3 picks, so if he can at least hit on his first round pick, I think what we'll end up seeing is him starting 3 tight ends most of the year. And then if he can hit on probably a receiver, that's what he's going to need, or he's going to have to trade for a receiver in complete honesty because he needs a receiver. Um, yeah, but that's all that really can be said there. So um, he really just needs to hit on his picks there. Now, Jake, the team, or I was kind of thinking he was an underdog last year, but how did he end up getting? Oh, he traded with my dad, right? Yes. Um, He's got Sam Darnold, Travis Etienne, which I really like, and then Achane. Now, if Kamara plays, this Etienne might be a little up in the air. It might be a shaky year just because Kamara is Kamara, so who knows? But if they end up getting rid of Kamara, then I could see something else completely happening with Etienne. Like, he could be a freaking beast this year again, but I don't know. Khalil Shakir with DJ Morgan and added, I don't know if he's going to have the same production as he did last year. I mean, he was like a top 20 guy. No, he was only 36, so I don't know what to expect there. McLaurin, I don't know what to say much of it. He just had a mid-year last year. I don't know. JSN, obviously going to be solid. I think McBride's going to have a great year if he's with Brissett again. Jordan Addison, I don't know. I don't know how to judge it. Murray hasn't had this many weapons in an offense. He's had like Marv and just a few random guys. Obviously, Michael Wilson came to life, but that wasn't even really in the Murray time. That was the Brissett time. So I don't know what to expect out of Addison. I think Pierce could have a really good year. Um, a few question marks there, nothing crazy, but I think he's got some weapons on his bench that he can end up plugging in. Like I think Montgomery is going to end up having a really solid year. Chuba Hubbard finally getting that starting role completely back, so I think those will be his 2 flex players. Sean Tucker, not expecting anything. Reed, couldn't even tell you. Golden, Watson, I couldn't even tell you who it's going to be in that offense. Brock Bowers as well. So I mean, he's got the options. Like he'll probably throw in Brock Bowers. I could see him and probably throwing in Chuba Hubbard then with that. So he's got a few pretty solid options. I think he'll be another one of those contenders this year. On his bench or his taxi, Milrow, Tesla. He's got 2 first-round picks this year, which actually I don't even think he was the one doing the trading for. I think that was um, what was it, the Real White House or whatever from before. He ended up dropping out of the league, but 1-9, 1-11, 2-11, 3-12, and 3-11. So he's got 5 picks this year. Pretty solid. Like you got to give him that. And then 2027, he doesn't have a first round, but he's got 2 picks there. So he's gonna have a lot of weapons to add, or he'll probably just trade away a few picks. I couldn't even tell you what he's gonna do there. Shake and bake. This is a team. This was the one team I did not want to play in the playoffs, and I ended up playing them on a week where I put up like 200 points. So luckily I had that going in my favor. But this is a really good team. Jared Goff, Irving, Hall, love that trio right there. George Pickens, St. Brown, London, like that's a really nice trio of guys right there as well, which I really like. And then the tight end, hit or miss. I think his flexes now are going to be really good. You got Kenneth Walker and Rico Dowdle. Dowdle, I think, could take a lot of reps away from Warren. Bench, not bad. Like I don't hate the bench there. Sharp could be another running back he could plug in at any point. He's got the weapons there at running back. I know they like to load up on running backs, so they've had bad success with not having enough running backs due to injuries. So who knows there. And then the bench here as well. This is probably, in my opinion, I think I have the bench all around team in the sense of I think I have pretty solid starters and probably like the best bench in the league right now. I think this is probably the second best bench in the league, just from players they have from Rice to Pearsall, and then George Kittle still on that bench there as well. Holy crap! So I think George Kittle will be in that starting lineup. I think this is probably the second best bench in the league. They might even have me beat here possibly. Um, but I really like what they have here. And then they have Braylon Allen as well. So they have the backup to Brees Hall. So I like what they have going on there. Only 1 pick this year, and then 1 next year, and then the 2 after that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do because they're not going to really have draft picks unless they start trading people. I know they put Kenneth Walker on the block, but they're not going to move him, is what I was told. So. And lastly, we got Connor. This is the team that ended up finishing, I think, last or we run our playoffs a little bit different. So if you're in the toilet bowl, you have to win to get the first pick because people will just tank. We're trying to avoid everything we can tanking wise. So they ended up placing, he ended up placing in second behind my dad, who ended up winning his last 2 games of the year. My dad, I think, won 4 of them last year in this league. So um, he's got Joe Burrow. Obviously, that's a good, solid quarterback there. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyler Algier getting moved to Arizona might have an impact, might not. I don't know. Mike Evans, San Francisco again. I don't know. Mooney getting moved to the Giants might have a decently impactful year. He could be a nice wide receiver too. There, two neighbors. Shamir Dyke, I think, is going to be pretty solid. A Bond, I'm not extremely high on, and Naylor, I'm not high on as well. So I couldn't really give you the full rundown there of what I think will end up happening. He's got JJ McCarthy, I think, in both leagues actually. Malik Willis, Rodriguez, Dermancado. Tootin might be a good option there. I think Chubb's career's done, to be honest with you. Tyreek, I think, is done. Hollywood Brown's not going to be impactful. His bench just really is full of a bunch of people that won't be impactful. I think Helm on his taxi might be one of those impactful guys, but I couldn't tell you. Now, he does have a lot of picks in years to come, so maybe he can make a valiant effort of hitting on some of these picks. This year, he's got the 1, 2, and 1, 3. He was trying to get me the 1-1 off of me, but the only way I was going to do that is if I got Gibbs, and obviously you're not going to trade away your like only star on that offense. So he's got the 1, 2, and 1, 3. He'll end up probably drafting at least one running back and one receiver is what I'm going to think he goes the route of because he needs one of each. Other than that, he's got a few more picks here, the 2, 6, 2, 9, and 2, 12, and then the 3, 2. So he's got, 6, 7 picks here in this draft. So pretty solid outing there. And then I think he'll end up probably getting maybe 1 or 2 more picks. So I think he's going to try to trade away at least 1 or 2 guys and just really bank on these young guys this year. He made a few trades questionable last year. I know he traded away Bijan to my dad, which I didn't quite get. He traded away Irving, who he also had on his team. So he's had a lot of good running backs on his team. He just likes to trade. So we'll see if he can adapt this year and maybe do a little bit better. But other than that, he's got a few picks there in 2027, 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, and 2 third rounders. So he's got another 6 there. And then 2028, he's just got 1 of each. So opportunities, at the very least, to find some talent in the coming years and hopefully have a competitive team probably 2 or 3 years down the road because he's going to rely a lot on young guys, and I think a lot of that's going to take time. If he could hit on the 1, 2, and 1, 3 this year, though, that'd be very, very beneficial because those are 2 really high picks in 1 year. Like next year, looking at it, I don't think he's going to have that much luck getting a high pick. I think he's probably going to be sitting at anywhere from 7 through 12 on those picks, maybe even 6 through 12. So I really think he has to hit this year on at least those 2 picks. He's got the 112, so he could, maybe make a move there and get someone as well, but we'll kind of see how his picks play out there. I tried giving him a player or 2 to get that 112, so he's passed on that. So he's really banking on these rookies. We'll see if that approach works for him. But that's all I got here for you guys today. I'm going to break down the other league here. I'll probably record it tomorrow. And then these will be up here in the coming days. This will probably be up as I'm recording the other one. So I appreciate you guys for stopping on by, spending the 45 minutes here in the chat. Or in the video watching it. If you guys have any recommendations for videos, please drop them in the comments. I would love to get a few more videos out. Something that people haven't seen before. But let's end it off there. You guys have a great day, and I'm excited for the season to come.